Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of TCF Sport. My name is Ben, as ever, joined by my brother Stephen.
Howdy.
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, not bad, thanks.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, very well, very well. Should we just crack straight on into it?
Unless you've got some jokes you want to
I
tell.
haven't got any jokes, no, not off the top of my head.
No jokes off the top of the head.
Besides the fact, actually, that I was interacting with somebody on Instagram the other day whose name was Ash Brown, and he was giving me a bit of stick, and I realised I should have just said, your name sounds like a Cockney ordering breakfast, but I didn't.
What was he giving you a bit of stick over?
To do with the PSG Liverpool predictions, and when I commented after, I commented on the Athletic posting something after Liverpool beat PSG at the Parc des Princes to say that it might alter the atmosphere, because obviously Liverpool historically, when they've been a second leg at Anfield that they need to win, the atmosphere is buzzing, it's completely up. Now obviously it was similar to that the other night, but it's a different mentality protecting the lead. They didn't need to go out and win the game. I'm not saying that was the reason that they lost. The reason that they lost is because Paris Saint-Germain are a very good team, but they just had disagreements with what the atmosphere at Anfield would be like. But from what I've heard, it wasn't as raucous as it usually is, although there could be other explanations for that to do with just ticketing, and that's a different point. They're covering all Premier League clubs, to be fair, but especially those at the top six, changing their ticketing prices and policies.
I mean, I'm surprised that's the one you was getting grief over. I'd have thought it would have been your Bayer Leverkusen prediction, but there we go.
Didn't put a clip out on that. Well, almost as bad as my, are we going to score a goal again this season? And then we go and score seven.
I know.
7! I should have changed it to, are we going to score a goal again in the Premier League?
Are they listening to this, maybe? Are we going to stop playing absolute dross? No.
Which we might come to, but what I wanted to start off with first of all is Thomas Tuchel's first games in charge, and obviously because of that he's just announced his first England squad. What are your thoughts on it? Specifically, Henderson in, Rashford in, Kyle Walker in. Do you think they were all a bit fortunate?
I think Rashford's probably shown enough at Aston Villa to earn a chance under the new manager in friendlies, aren't they?
I'm pretty sure they're World Cup qualifiers.
Oh, are they?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
because the tournament's in next year now, isn't it?
Okay. Well, the equivalent of friendlies then, because the teams that you're playing, no one wants to watch Latvia, Scotland.
Disrespectful to Czech Republic.
Yeah, exactly. Don't disrespect Croatia. Henderson, obviously, he must know some card tricks.
Yeah. As soon as that was announced, it just reminded me of what Roy Keane said all those years ago. And we were having that debate back then. He's a great lad to have around. What does he do with card tricks?
Yeah. I think, personally, that he's had a letter from Gareth Southgate going, this is what I recommend you do. And these are really good players. And he's gone, this is good. He's not Dutch, but, you know.
Yeah. But that's the most baffling one, bearing in mind he hasn't played for England since November 2023. He's obviously gone to Saudi and is now playing at Ajax.
Not playing.
But he's played once in the last 8.
And he's getting a lot of grief in interviews as well at the moment, isn't he?
Well, there was that clip going round in the January transfer window. I think an interviewer asked him if he was trying to force a move away, which he didn't like. He didn't take kindly to that question. But when you consider the names that have been left out in his place, Conor Gallagher, obviously playing at Atletico Madrid and doing well at Atletico Madrid. They're in a title race and were unlucky to have been knocked out by Real Madrid the other day, which we'll come to. Adam Wharton at Palace. Now, I know he's had injuries, but every time he gets on the ball, he plays forwards.
But since coming back from injury, how much has he improved Palace?
It's funny, I can't remember who they played the other day, but I think Palace fans were saying it wasn't one of his better games, yet there's still clips of him knocking the ball. It was Ipswich, knocking the ball with the outside of his foot through to Nketiah, just playing the ball first time and playing it forwards.
Yeah, that's what he does. He looks up and he looks to go forward. As soon as he gets that ball, tries to beat his first player, then when can I release it? And
you're talking about the constant debate around England, especially over the last few years, is we don't have any of those style of players that can keep the ball, can progress the ball through midfield, is happy and comfortable to take it off the back four. There's that archetypal there. I know he's had injuries, but he's got to be in ahead of Henderson for me. And also Elliot Anderson at Nottingham Forest, who I thought was unlucky to have missed out. He's had a really good season. Likewise, I know you said Rashford, he's shown enough at Villa, but has he shown more than Morgan Gibbs-White? Has he shown more than Callum Hudson-Odoi at Forest? I think they're both a little bit unlucky.
Morgan Gibbs-White's more central, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I know, but
so
to me...
you'd say him over Henderson, Morgan Gibbs-White.
Well, Morgan Gibbs-White is more attacking.
And yeah, Hudson-Odoi, yeah. It just... it almost smacks of like it doesn't matter who the manager is, who someone else is making this the decision, doesn't it? That's how it feels like. Because what we've sat here for ages talking about how we want a top class manager, and Southgate isn't that, and now we've got it, and they've gone, I like Southgate's squad.
Going to pick exactly the same team.
Unless it's like, I'm going to show him what he could have won.
Yeah, because when you bring a new manager in, you think, right, this is it, clean slate. You can pick whoever you want. Pick players on form. You don't have to stick to trusted players because you haven't built that trusted players yet. Obviously, Southgate had been there for so long that he found players that he could trust and kept picking them. But to pick some of the same names, it was just straight away like, really?
Yeah, the Henderson one is just baffling, isn't it, really?
Yeah. But obviously the two new names that have been called up, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Dan Burn, given their first international call-ups.
Big Ben Dern.
Virgil van Dijk levels, that one. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Or any significant thoughts? I think it's nice for both of them.
Yeah, it's good for both of them.
Yeah.
Is Dan Burn going to be centre-half or left-back?
I think more left-back cover because... Well, Lewis Hall, to me, would have been in, but for the season-ending foot injury he picked up a couple of weeks ago. Because obviously he started left-back for Newcastle and has a good, strong season for most of this year. So I imagine Dan Burn will be cover for left-back.
Fair enough. He's testing them both out then, isn't
he? Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to say on that, what you said or what we both said about... Tuchel picking the same sort of players, it almost feels as though because of the length of his contract, which is only a year and a half, his purpose is specifically to win the World Cup in 2026, meaning he wants to go with tried and trusted players or the so-called bigger names. Now, I don't agree with that. Obviously, we just had the debate and conversation about it. You should pick players based on form, but that's the only explanation that I can give.
If he wins the World Cup, then don't care.
No.
But I do care that Henderson shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Simple as.
Exactly. Like, yeah.
Rashford, I don't mind. He's shown a bit of form, but...
Or even Kyle Walker as well. I know I mentioned him earlier that, yeah, he hasn't had a great season and obviously he's getting older.
Doing okay in Italy, isn't he?
Well, Milan have struggled. They're 7th. They've lost a few games. I think they've won the last couple on the bounce, but at least he's playing for in a better league because Serie A is better than the Eredivisie. And obviously he's playing regularly, which Henderson hasn't been. So you can kind of understand it.
Yeah.
Anyway... Do you want to touch on some of the recent messages you sent me about Jamie Carragher? Is there anything specific that you wanted to say?
Not really. I'm not gonna give him the time of day. I've sent you a couple of messages. I might do it on a different podcast. But yeah, it's all just clickbaity. And I like Mourinho, what he said about him, saying he's not even in the top 1,000 defenders that has ever played or something.
Is that what Mourinho said?
Apparently something along those lines.
Yeah.
That's what social media said. Whether he did or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because there was that clip I sent you where he was getting in a bit of the business on the train, wasn't he? And he found out the train driver's an Arsenal fan. Oh, they haven't won anything in the last 20 years. It's like, well, they have won the FA Cup, but if that's nothing, then so be it.
You see, because that one, when you sent it to me in the tone of message that you sent, I actually disagreed. I thought that one could just be perceived as banter. But then the one that I sent you of him appearing on the Redmen podcast talking about how the Carabao Cup is almost better than the FA Cup, I was like, what?
Clickbait.
That's just, that one was mad.
Well, what he's trying to do is that train driver got under his skin because he's on the Champions League programme on CBS.
CBS, yeah.
When they put up on the big screen, oh yeah, Liverpool get through Paris Saint-Germain, I think Villa will get through, then they'll get through there, and because he's biased.
Yeah.
His commentary, his punditry is all biased and it's boring. You know, Virgil van Dijk is levels above any other centre-half. Yeah. Virgil van Dijk couldn't deal with half the people we named on the Premier League years men up front. He hasn't the Barclays men, so he hasn't had to face any of that calibre of striker.
But also
on a weekly basis.
And how the system or football has changed.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Teams used to play 2 up top and to deal with 2 strikers.
That's enough airtime, I think.
Moving swiftly on then, because you talked about the Champions League and obviously all the round of 16 ties have been played now. There were a few surprises, a few decent results. So starting with Liverpool, were you surprised they got knocked out against PSG?
A little bit. I mean, you called it, didn't you? You said Paris Saint-Germain would give him a challenge, and I think Alisson, did he get man of the match in Paris?
Yeah,
because he made a few good saves, didn't he? And they sort of stole that win, really, didn't they?
Yeah, Yeah.
You could argue.
I think a lot of Liverpool fans, to their credit, they've come out and said that over the 2 legs, the better side won. And you can't really deny that because of the amount of chances that PSG had.
Liverpool had decent chances in the home game, though, didn't they?
Well, I was surprised. So I thought PSG would have beaten Liverpool at the Parc des Princes. And they should have because of the amount of chances that they had. But once Liverpool took that lead back to Anfield, as much as I thought it's only a 1-0 lead, the tie isn't over, like it'd be a good competitive game still there, I didn't expect Liverpool to go out. So that's the only surprise on my side. Before a ball was kicked, I thought PSG are decent. They'll give them a good run for their money. But after the first leg, it was quite surprising. Darwin Núñez, though, obviously, it was unfortunate with the penalty miss, but
it was a good save. It wasn't.
Both
have you looked
saves
back?
were good.
It wasn't that bad a penalty, was it?
No, it's
decent power. It's one of those that's rising, and it's that's a better save than a poor penalty, if that makes sense.
It sums up Donnarumma, though, doesn't it? Because obviously he was, the size of the bloke, 6'5", is massive.
I actually thought Curtis Jones' penalty was actually a lot poorer.
Yeah, but
because it wasn't right in the bottom corner,
But because of Darwin Núñez's struggles in front of goal, or how he's been since he signed for Liverpool, it feels like that's a bigger miss, and almost that. Well, the question to ask you is: do you think his time is up at Liverpool? Do you think it'll be moved on in the summer?
Yeah, he's done. They want to swap him for Isaac, and Newcastle said, "No, you're right. You just give us more money." But even before, I was watching the penalties, and when it came up to him, I was just like, "He'll miss."
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that bad a penalty, but you could just tell, can't you?
Yeah,
you could just know.
Yeah.
Although I think the worst penalty out of all of them was the Paris Saint-Germain lad's first pen.
Vitinha's, I think, wasn't it? Because he
was lucky that Alisson didn't move a bit earlier, because he did that stupid little stuttering run up or slow run up.
It's a goalkeeper dependent penalty, so he's looking at the goalkeeper the whole way, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but he was lucky Alisson didn't move a little bit sooner, because I think on the commentary I was like, a good penalty. I was like, no. If it goes, but the rest of them from Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, I think Dembele's, wasn't it? He stuck his top bins.
Oh yeah.
Fair play to the bloke.
Yeah, quality.
Yeah, because we criticised. I always remember criticising him. Do you remember when Barcelona beat Liverpool?
3-0 up, and missed the chance to make it 4.
Yeah, because you said as well when we've spoken about that previously, you saw Messi's reaction to that, because Messi was fuming that if he'd squared it, it'd have been a simple goal. And also, obviously, you're going back to Liverpool at Anfield. Who knows what happens there? Anything can happen there.
Exactly.
As it did. Yeah. How did you rate Villa's chances against PSG?
I don't know. I want Villa to do well. How do I rate their chances? Got good a chance anyone, haven't they?
Nah, I disagree.
Yeah?
At PSG, the way they played against Liverpool, if they turn up even with a fraction of that performance, I'm sorry, Villa. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but there's just levels.
Remember, Leverkusen was beat Bayern Munich.
That's fine. That is absolutely fine. My predictions.
But you forget, Villa have got Super Emi Martinez and Yuri Tillemans,
and Asensio is banging in goals.
But yeah, from the bench. Imagine if he starts him.
I think he scored 2 goals at Villa Park in each of his last 3 games, which is a decent return. And obviously Rashford's looking good. But I only say that obviously Villa have done really well and they're a good team. And if it was just a single game at Villa Park, then it would be slightly different. But they're having to go to PSG first. If PSG create a fraction of the chances they did against Liverpool, I imagine they will take more of them. I just don't see it for Villa.
We shall see. Yeah. Upsets happen.
I know, and that's fine. And Emery will have a point to prove as well,
exactly.
because of the time that he was out there. And I think he got ridiculed a little bit because trying to speak the language, a bit like his first stint in England. Some people took the mick out of him for trying to speak the language because he wasn't that fluent in it, which is disrespectful. But
disgraceful, really.
Yeah. We shall see anyway.
Considering us English go to other countries and go, 2 beers, per favore, quickly.
Uno, dos, tres. Sorry, Moisey. We've got old Steve McLaren and Joey Barton as well. We don't even try and use the language, they just use the accent.
It's a good game, this football.
And now he's managing Jamaica, so we'll see the same, innit?
Easy bread when 4-4-2, you know.
Brilliant.
Don't worry, chill. 2 down, 45 to go.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Can you imagine? Got like the beanie hat on as well. Oh yeah, the quality.
Just goes full,
Managing
full
in Jamaica, not the national team.
He's managing the national team.
Oh, national team?
Yeah, he's managing the national team. Yeah, it was within the last year, I think, he got appointed.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Moving on to Arsenal. Were you surprised by Arsenal's performances against PSV, especially the 7-1 away win?
The 7-1 did surprise me, but the goalkeeper couldn't catch a cold.
Yeah, and also PSV's form has dropped off in the last couple of months. Obviously, it was still a really good win, but it is kind of amazing what happens when your team makes attacking runs in behind defenders
and you take shots
forwards.
Odegaard's, the one where the keeper literally palmed it in. But he had a shot.
The second one, I know.
Yeah.
It's like Zinchenko in midweek. I know the tie was done, but outside the box, he had nobody to pass to, even though he was looking round. But he hit it.
Yeah.
And look what happened.
What was fun? I was saying to Dad yesterday. What was funny about that? Because you both went to the PSV match.
Yeah.
When they equalised to make it 2-2, and the PSV lads grabbed the ball and gone, come on. It's like, yeah, just 6 more goals. Don't worry, just 6 more. Like
that was
the urgency.
Perisic initially, and then when he equalised second time, it was quite nice though, because the PSV fans still turned up in their absolute numbers. They were singing and chanting, and
but they had a big game the night before, AFC Wimbledon.
Even that in itself is brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. To turn up at a random game, a League Two game, and to
you can imagine being that League Two team going to Wimbledon. We're like, what is this?
The best one that I've seen, I think it was PSG fans, or it might have been Dortmund. They were obviously away at a European game. I can't remember who it was against, but they were just walking around a park. They saw that these lads were playing on an AstroTurf in a cage, lit flares, just started
Paris
singing.
Saint-Germain, yeah.
It was PSG.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just European fans are built different when it's away. Yeah.
Just love football.
And the atmosphere that they make. Anyway, do you think we have a chance against Real Madrid? How confident are you going into that quarter-final?
How do we have a chance against Real Madrid? No.
How confident were you in 2006? Can you remember?
I don't know how confident I was in 2006. I can't remember. But I remember watching the away game because it was on ITV at the time.
It was on ITV. Yeah. We played well.
We did play well.
I'm quite happy just to sit here and talk about that. Because I don't think the same's going to happen this year.
No, what we're going to do is we're going to go pass. And Ancelotti's going to raise his eyebrow and
Mbappe stick one in.
They're going to get a penalty. Yeah,
Bellingham stick one in.
Yeah, we're not on form, and I've called out United about how their style was or lack thereof. And I think we've said it on this pod for a couple of weeks now. I don't get the style of play at all. Like, you've gone from being dynamic and entertaining. You said it yourself. You didn't even watch the game today. You went to the gym because you know it's going to be boring.
Yeah,
I knew it was going to be boring. And that can't all just be down to not having a striker though.
No, because you can still play. You can still be direct. You can still mix it up. You can still be different.
Yeah. Just
habit.
And they're putting their ticket prices up as well, so they can compete at the highest level. Okay, if you want to compete at the highest level, you should have bought a striker in January, then, shouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all this spin, nonsense.
Yeah. Well, it almost reminds me of.
Nuts this. I'm going to go support for them.
They had a good win today as well.
They did.
It almost reminds me of the explanation for the ticket prices of we need to keep bring more money in to keep competing. It's like the initial move from Highbury to the Emirates. I think it was even Gazidis at the time, or maybe a bit later. I can't remember exactly when he was chief exec, but saying, we moved to the Emirates to compete with the likes of Bayern Munich and the top European teams.
Yeah.
How many is that? When we were watching, when Dad and I were at the PSV game the other night, how many big European nights can you remember at the Emirates?
Not many, because we that was the season after the Champions League final. From there, and we used to go out in the round of 16. Mm-hmm. We lost to I think it was PSV that knocked us out.
In the first, it was Alex before he signed for Chelsea. I think that was the first time that the first season at the Emirates. Then we got to the semis one year, and we also got to the quarters. The quarters was the season after that, when we beat the first team to beat AC Milan at San Siro, but then got knocked out against Liverpool because after Walcott ran the length of the pitch and Adebayor scored, we couldn't defend for the next 5-10 minutes because otherwise we would have been going through and away goals. And I think it was either the season after that or the 2009-10 season when we got to the semis. No, would it have been 2000? Yeah, it would have been the season after that, sorry, when we got to the semis, because we were knocked out by United. They got to the final against Barcelona and Rome, but we lost 1-0 at Old
when
Trafford.
United smashed us at home.
Absolutely battered.
The fans left at half-time.
It wasn't a contest.
Well, Ronaldo scored a free kick from almost 40 yards, didn't he?
Yeah, because Almunia.
I don't know what Almunia was doing.
No. I mean, the best goal of the night from them on that one was the counter-attacking goal. I think it was their third or fourth.
Yeah.
It was just back to front.
Yeah, just
5
embarrassing
seconds.
though, wasn't it? Because it's like, we managed to just survive 1-0 at Old Trafford. But yeah, because that was the away goals rule as well, wasn't it? which should never have. The away goals scored, don't get me started on that. But when it's two teams from the same country, anyway.
Yeah.
So Arsenal's chance against Real Madrid, no hopes.
I would like to, because again I'm talking to people on Instagram.
They got better players,
I know.
better manager. I'm not dissing. I'm not having a go at Arteta, but Ancelotti's been there, done it.
Yeah, but you say better players. You compare the front threes. If we roll out with a front three of like it was today, Trossard, Martinelli, and Marino, they have Mbappe, Rodrigo, and Vinicius Junior.
Yeah, but even that, like today, you don't have a striker. He's playing Martinelli out of position on the right. Just put him through the middle with his pace and put Nwaneri on the right then.
I know, strange.
Like against a really poor Chelsea team.
Yeah, but it has, which I'll come to in a minute actually, it does feel like that's been a repeated fixture of Arteta's Arsenal, the reluctance to play a striker. I remember in the Europa League, I think it was during lockdown, that he could have played a striker, I can't remember who it was, but he decided to play Nicolas Pepe as a false nine. And now obviously the strikers that we have signed, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, they're not out and out strikers as much as I've just called them strikers, is the reason that we haven't signed.
I don't even think Havertz is a striker.
Yeah, well, it was signed as a number 10, wasn't it? But he tried to play him alongside Odegaard when he first brought him in, but he wasn't good enough. He didn't start that well in an Arsenal shirt. Obviously, he did well towards the end of the season last year, scoring goals. But is the reluctance to sign a striker actually coming from the manager? It's a question that I can't really answer, but it just, to play devil's advocate from what
I'm sure it isn't, but who knows?
Yes.
Only they do.
Yeah, and well, the proof will be in the pudding of what we do in the summer, really, won't it?
Well, I'm expecting a big summer now with the price hike, and they're going to want to challenge for, the top trophies and all that sort of stuff. So we should be seeing a very busy summer as soon as the window opens.
Yeah. Well,
in actual fact, they should be doing all their business now, shouldn't they?
Considering we've just appointed a sporting director as well, I don't think he starts until the start of next season, but at least that's tied up and sorted. That's right, you okay over
there? Yeah. Jed Spence was knocking on the window.
I can leave that in now. Yeah. Anyway, did you also see the Atletico derby, the Madrid derby, the penalty shootout?
I did see the penalty shootout, yeah.
Did you think it was unfair on Julian Alvarez?
I still can't see the double touch. Can you honestly tell me he touches it twice?
If it is, it's very, very minor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're going to change the rule as if by magic. How convenient. Doesn't help Atletico Madrid out though.
No, I know. I mean, Simeone was fuming.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, absolutely
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Do you think the rule should be changed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, they're going to have to work it in a certain way, though, because obviously the reason that rule's in place in the first place is to prevent the attacker just dribbling the ball in or taking a touch and shooting, but also hitting the post, and if the ball comes back to them before anybody else touches it, so they can have another go. Because that's happened before.
Oh, where it hits the post.
If it hits the post,
yeah. That was the ladies' game, wasn't it, that time? I think you sent me the clip, didn't you?
Yeah, and also it has happened recently, I think, in England. I can't remember what game, but the last couple of seasons.
But if it's sailed onto the post, it's different, though,
yeah, because then the goalkeeper's touched it.
Yeah.
But if it hits the post and then directly comes back to the attacker without anybody else touching it, then obviously that's not allowed, which it probably shouldn't be.
Oh, it's quite easy. If a player... All you have to do is if a player slips and it touches his foot as he's kicking it, it still counts. There you go. It's not hard. Don't need to overcomplicate it, do you?
Yeah. Would you then say retake it or?
No, it goes in. Because if he misses or the keeper saves it, you wouldn't retake it then, would you?
No.
So if it goes in, it counts. Yeah. Simple.
Fair
there
enough.
You go. Keep it easy. There you go. FIFA. Done. Today I feel FIFA president. I don't feel him. But today I feel gay. After that comment.
Do you remember that speech? That was mad.
Oh my God. What a load of absolute tosh.
Yeah. Because that was in response to the criticism ahead of Qatar, was it not? I can't remember.
It was whilst he was out in Qatar. He was doing it. Today I feel gay. Today I feel Qatari. Today I feel blah blah blah. The only thing he didn't say that he felt is what they all are, corrupt.
Yeah.
Today I feel innocent.
Before we come on to a couple of other rule changes that I want to get your opinion on, there's one more question that I thought of before we started. Is the Premier League the best league in the world? What do you make of pundits who say it is?
No, it's not. I'm pleased you asked that question because I've forgotten about this. But I was thinking about like with the Champions League, and all right, like the CBS, it's still like an English audience, isn't it, or American? But there's an arrogance from our pundits, or from certain pundits, who, because whoever's doing so well in England at the time, they're the best team in Europe. Have you noticed every team that's the top in England, they're the best team in Europe. So Liverpool were going to win the Champions League this season.
Well, to be fair, I think all of the pundits on CBS said that Madrid would knock them out in the semis if Liverpool got to the semis.
I bet Carragher didn't know.
Yeah, Carragher said as well. For in his,
Did he?
his run, he had Madrid to progress from the semis. But just the general comments that are made by pundits, just offhandedly almost, that the Premier League is the best league in the world. It said quite a lot. It's so disrespectful to other leagues that you can't say that without going to watch other leagues constantly. The only thing you can say, which I think is a fact,
it's the most expensive league in the world.
It's the most expensive league in the world, and it produces it makes the most money, or the most amount of TV money in
and it. The argument that it's the best league in the world is because they attract the better players, as in like you will get some top class players come from other big teams over here. And that's purely because of the money. But on the I saw a clip. Who was it? Who was talking? I think who was the old England manager, the Italian guy?
Fabio Capello.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was him or not. But basically saying how Pep Guardiola's ruined football with his systems.
He said that he was ruined. You know, he did Italian football. I saw his comment the other day, and Guardiola responded to it, basically not liking it, but because of. It's something that we've said previously that everyone now feels like they need to play the same way.
Yeah, but saying that when he was at Bayern Munich, he was also saying that he's all about him as well, so he can say that he makes certain changes in games, even in finals, so then if they go on and win, it's like, it's because of me, I did that. And I don't know much, but that's obviously his opinion, but yeah, City are boring as well, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it was also interesting, Ola Aina, the Nottingham Forest defender, he was on a podcast the other day talking about how difficult it was to play against City, Liverpool, Arsenal, ranking who was like the most difficult to play against. And obviously Liverpool, we said what we've said, that they're so direct. Arsenal, he actually gave us more credit, saying that even though you think that it's just side to side, which is what we say, because it feels like that's what we see, he says that the movement in game is quite difficult to keep up with.
See what you see. But you want to be entertained as well.
No, I know, but City said
60. I'm not being funny. £60 a ticket for a single ticket. You need to be entertained.
Yeah.
Today, going and beating Chelsea 1-0 from a corner.
You knew what was going to happen.
Oh, we knew it. Yeah, I know.
But yeah, even though we still predicted Arsenal to win though, because as much as we're dross and boring to watch, Chelsea are even worse. They were playing Leicester last weekend. They didn't have a shot the first half, unless actually I think besides Cole Palmer, it was unless that might have been second half. I can't remember. Either way, I was keeping up to date with it on BBC Sport.
The penalty was the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So besides that, keeping up to date with it on BBC. Sorry, it wasn't last week. It was in midweek against Copenhagen that they didn't have a shot in the first half.
Okay.
Because it is exactly the same, and whether it's because he's also a Pep disciple, that he's come through. Obviously, Pep Guardiola's. He was on his coaching staff at City. It's just boring.
But they've tailed off as well, haven't they? But we said history sometimes repeats, and he had that at Leicester, didn't he, as the manager?
Yeah.
So you wonder how much he's trying to get out of him, but. Palmer, was he injured today? Because he wasn't in the squad at all, was he, Palmer?
Injured. He missed that injury.
And it's even then, it's still a big loss to him because he can't create.
No, as was the case today. Yeah. It's also interesting seeing some Chelsea fans criticising Maresca for his comments that he made back in December, saying they weren't in the title race. Now, obviously, we said that we agreed with him, but should he have played up to it? I don't really know.
Well, I said ask me February, March time, didn't I? I said they're not, but I said there was more so than Arsenal.
Yeah, at the time.
But no one's in a title race. Liverpool in a one-horse race.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Moving on to other rule changes that I wanted to ask you about. So I don't know if you've seen that one that is actually going to be implemented, or I say it's going to be implemented. They've introduced it. How much it's implemented remains to be seen. From next season, if the goalkeeper holds the ball for longer than 8 seconds, the opposition team will be awarded a corner. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Depends if it's implemented though, isn't it? Because we had the old 6-second rule, which technically is still in place, but goalkeepers hold the ball for far longer than that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, won't it?
Yeah. It feels like another one potentially though that maybe it would just be implemented for the first
first
month.
5 games until the international break, and then we'll forget about it.
A bit like the stoppage time that the old World Cup stoppage time that we
Yeah.
got, I think last season or the season before. And
The
that
throw-ins
phased
as well.
out. Yeah. And obviously the kicking the ball away that we got at the start of this season, or delaying the restart is what it was, that we got punished for twice.
And now we didn't kick it away that far.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Doesn't have an Arsenal crest on him. I'm not bitter.
No, tell me about it. One that I wanted to ask you about, since the last time that we recorded, Gordon got sent off against Brighton in the FA Cup. And obviously he was given a 3-game ban. Now, obviously it was a deserved red card, in my opinion. He hit out of the bloke.
Yeah.
But do you think that red card should only be applied to the competition that he got sent off in? Because it does feel a little bit unfair that he's now missing the Carabao Cup final.
No, it should be your national games. So, he's stupid. Like, they don't learn, do they? You had Pope 2 seasons ago, and you just sort of think, but they're like, no, because if you was to say, he can't play in any more FA Cup games, they got knocked out.
No, I know.
So next season, if they lose that first one, 3 years of not playing FA Cup football. If he was to lose, if I was to keep losing the first game,
which is a completely fair argument. What I would change to that though then is...
Would you say league games then?
Exactly that. I would say Premier League only. Don't bring other competitions into it because I don't think that's fair. He shouldn't be missing the Carabao Cup final. It should just be Premier League games only.
Yeah, but he knows the rules before getting involved.
Yeah.
So, you've got a game. You know if you're going to get a straight red card. Like, when I saw that, I was just like, oh, stupid. Stupid.
I know. Right, to come to a few talking points for some of the clubs, Premier League clubs, starting with Brighton. How impressed have you been with them since their 7-0 defeat against Forest?
Not that impressed.
No,
I don't pay attention to Brighton.
Okay, so they've won after the 7-0 defeat, after which you also called them crap because we have the old clip that went out. Now, to be fair, you weren't alone in that because you met Brighton fans that also commented saying, oh, it's great to see a neutral seeing what Brighton fans are seeing as well.
Yeah.
But they have since gone on to win.
You're welcome.
6 out of 6, and obviously they're undefeated in 7 because of the draw against City.
Yeah, well, they've done well. But it's another cycle, isn't it? And then they'll have a cycle of where they're doing badly. Just wait for it to come. It all comes in cycles at Brighton. It was the same under Potter, it was the same under De Zerbi. Have a good few games, do really well. They're looking like they're going to challenge for Europe, going to do great. Then suddenly they have a loss that you don't expect them to have, and they struggle, get a few draws, and aren't winning, and blah blah blah. Not getting penalties for headbutts. So
6 out of 6 is good though.
No, they do. No, I wasn't being glib. I haven't really been paying attention to them, but no, that is doing well. It's good improvement.
Yeah. Bearing in mind, obviously, one of those wins was away at Newcastle in the FA Cup, which is always a tough place to go to. And,
yeah, it was a good game, and that was a good finish by Welbeck as well.
Very good finish. And now they've got Forest at home this time in the quarters, so out for a little bit of revenge, potentially.
Go on, Forest.
I don't suppose you've seen Match of the Day from yesterday, have you? The City.
No.
Talking to João Pedro, he got a brush to his chest. He went down holding his face and neck. Honestly, it made me angry watching it.
Yeah, but I'm getting so fed up of seeing all these players dive around the second they're touched. Like, I've seen some of the stuff from last weekend, and yeah, when there's contact, there's contact, and it's a penalty, blah blah blah. But the second they're touched, they're going down and grabbing both legs and wincing. And the camera's on them and going, just
get on with
grow
it.
up.
Yeah.
Honestly, can you imagine these playing against John Terry or Tony Adams?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what hit them.
I was watching Premier League years from 03-04 the other day, and some of the tackles that were flying in then, and they weren't even red cards, they were getting booked. Brilliant.
But now you can't even win the ball and get part of the player anymore.
No, I know.
Right.
Because the players overreact as well, which means they con the refs.
Yeah, well, I think you'd cut that out if they go, you're injured, you need to go off for 5 minutes then to get treatment. And like the players that have failed for the penalty, you can't take the penalty then if you're that badly injured.
Yeah.
If they're rolling around the way they are, like, do you know what I mean?
All I know is, to be fair, is James would not have survived in today's game. Bournemouth. Are they running out of steam at just the wrong time of the season, or have they still played well in recent games but just not taking their chances?
They've played well. They've been a bit unlucky and some poor decisions. The Spurs one, Kepa giving away a penalty in like the 84th minute. I saw little bits of yesterday's game. 1-1, they hit the bar early doors in the second half.
Just again, not taking chances.
Yeah. So and they still look, they're still performing well. So they're probably just not having much of a rub of the green.
They battered Tottenham, and the chances that they had,
I know.
they should have scored.
Was it a 0-0 and 1-0? Yeah. Some of the chances they had.
Yeah, even at 2-1, I think. I was unlucky, to be fair, because it was a lovely
move. He was offside, wasn't he? One of them, Kluivert.
Yeah, but Kluivert also hit the post when he was onside at 2-1. It's just a bit of brain-dead goalkeeping from Kepa, though. And I'd also put against Tottenham for the penalty decision. I don't know what he was doing. And I'd also put, why is he coming out against Brentford yesterday for the corner?
I've not seen that. I didn't actually see the goals. So.
Honestly, if you come out, you have to get everything.
Yeah.
But he wasn't authoritative. He wasn't dominating. It allowed Wissa just to head in. Stupid.
Well, we've discussed Kepa. I saw your clip, actually, from earlier on in the season where we discussed Kepa. He's only on loan. I'm sure there's better out there that they could probably sign in the summer.
Yeah. I don't know what his contractual situation at Chelsea is. I imagine he'll still have another year left, but one for the summer for them. I think, judging by how well that clip did, also a few Bournemouth fans were in agreement.
Fair enough.
Yeah, considering obviously that part of that clip was praising Mark Travers.
Yeah.
And he's not even at the club anymore. He's gone on loan to Middlesbrough.
Oh, has he?
Mm-hmm.
Who's their backup keeper then?
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Strange.
Yeah, because obviously they've also got Neto still, don't they? Who's on loan.
On loan to us, isn't he?
Yeah, who will be going back at the end of the season. A quick word for Brentford, though, because that was their 5th away win in a row and their 50th Premier League win. They're the 10th fastest side to achieve that in the Premier League, which for a club of their size is remarkable. Where would they be without Mbeumo and Wissa, though? Do you worry that they're going to lose one or both of them? Or maybe the better question is, if they lost one or both of them, would you worry for them?
If they lost both of them, it depends who they got in. They would struggle, but I still think they've got enough quality there to survive.
Historically, they have been a club that's been able to replace their stars. So,
if Tony goes, I'll get relegated. They've been fine about him.
Yeah, but when they were in the Championship, I think they also had Ollie Watkins, who was their main centre forward, and replaced him. When they've had strikers who are in form, more so in the Championship, they've been happy to sell them and just replace them for a fraction of the cost, and they have done it. Obviously, my worry for them is that might run out. Like, it becomes more difficult to do. No.
Well, yeah, but eventually you'll get a daft player, won't you?
Well, it's like Southampton. I think somebody made a good comment about the Southampton squad in the 2010s, that they kept bringing all these good players in, but then they'd be sold to better clubs. Obviously, Liverpool came and bought quite a few of them, and eventually it ran out. They went down. Now, I'm not saying the same would happen for Brentford, but it does feel like there's only so many times you can replace your best players.
Yeah, but that was also academy players, weren't they, I think, for Southampton?
Yeah, but I was even likes of when they brought in Graziano Pella, who then they moved on, who was a good forward. Mane they signed, who didn't come through the academy, and then moved him on. Yeah. And then after that, they went
because
down.
big money came in for him as well, though, and it's hard. And players want to go to those sorts of clubs.
Yeah, and which is fair enough. Because obviously, Mbeumo has been linked with quite a few top 6 clubs, including us, and Wissa obviously was the subject of a bid from Forest in January. So
that was a strange one, though. I didn't understand that personally. Like, from all parties.
No, whether they come back in for him or not, I'll see. Last thing I wanted to say on some of the Premier League action is the bottom 3. Have you been surprised by how poor the 3 promoted sides have been this season?
I was a little bit surprised by Leicester, because they've had a couple of players who know about the Premier League, but other than that, no.
Even Southampton, for as few points as they've got. Don't get me wrong, I thought they'd go down, and we both. Actually, no.
I thought I'd stay. I thought I'd stay down initially.
Yeah.
Yeah, Southampton. But again, it's rinse and repeat for the podcast. It's the style of play. Play out from the back. Do this, do that, and it's not working for them.
Be a bit more pragmatic.
They probably should have kept Russell Martin as well.
Well, yeah, because
they'd have had one more win.
Yeah, which means they'd be above the record low points total. But if they'd kept Russell
Martin... What is the record low points total?
11 points.
11, and they're on 9 at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we said records are there to be broken. There's only 10 games left now, isn't there?
9 games.
9 games.
Yeah. The saving grace is that they still got to play Leicester at Leicester, which you never know.
No, Van Nistelrooy is going to win that one.
Yeah, well, I thought Ipswich would have beaten Saints earlier on in the season, but obviously Saints went and did Ipswich.
Oh, no. Well, if you want to stay up, you need to beat at Southampton.
Well, it was at the time then that Ipswich were on a decent run of form by their standards for the Premier League this season. I think we obviously all backed them to win, and that game, after that just killed them. The only one that I can have a little bit of sympathy for or put a bit more respect on the name is Ipswich because of the fact they've been promoted successively.
Yeah.
Obviously, they spent a lot of money in the summer. 120 million odd, I think, was their net spend or the total spend. I can't remember which. But to come through from League One to the Premier League into successive seasons, so it was to be expected a little bit that they'd struggle.
But I mean, Luton, you're doing that, but shout out to Luton who are doing exactly the same, going from the Premier League to League One.
So many clubs around them won yesterday as well. Derby picked up, they won 3 in a row. Cardiff beat Blackburn away. It's like, yeah, it's looking bleaker and bleaker.
Bye!
I know. What's it going to take for promoted sides to survive in the Premier League now? Because we have said previously that obviously the gap's getting bigger, but how do you close that gap?
That's a good question.
Money. More money from the Premier League needs to filter down.
Yeah, but you also need to spend that money wisely and buy proper quality. How many clubs get relegated and we'll see some of these players playing for the teams that have just been promoted?
No, we said it all the time. I think we named Kieran Richardson as one of those that just constantly bounced around.
Murich.
I know, we've obviously gone from Burnley to Ipswich. But the issue I have...
Calvin Phillips. Oh, no.
He gets to go back to City.
Yeah.
Somehow. The issue that I have is...
He can be the new Scott Carson. Good to have around.
That's card tricks. Yeah, more money does need to filter down, but it has to be that way because otherwise the only other option, a lot of money needs to be spent, but if clubs then don't survive, it feels like they're putting themselves in a precarious financial situation. They've got to be able to spend to survive.
They get parachute payments as well, though, for relegation.
I know, so... but like Norwich, for example, when they came up, wouldn't spend that much because if they spent that much and then went down, which was likely, the parachute payments might not have been enough to cover it. Obviously, it would have been okay, but then they would have put themselves in a more precarious financial position. Obviously, Forest gambled a couple of seasons ago. They spent what they did to bring in 24 players, whatever it was, and it worked out. But that's still quite a precarious... Exactly.
Fulham didn't do that, though, and stayed.
No, I know, but since then, it does feel like the gap has just opened up massively the last couple of seasons.
I think it's the quality. And maybe is there an argument about the quality of the managers as well? Or... to repeat it again, the style of play. Too open. You can do that in a championship. Can you adapt?
That's why it's going to be interesting to me to see if they get promoted, what Burnley do next season, because Burnley have been a little bit more pragmatic in the championship. I know, but obviously how they played last season in the Premier League under Company was a lot out of the back, overplaying because it wasn't penetrative. It was playing for the sake of playing. It wasn't trying to score a goal, is what it felt like. Now, I obviously haven't watched them enough to comment on their exact style of play this season, but their clean sheet record means surely they've been a little bit more defensive focused.
In the championship, though, Ben.
I know.
But who's their manager?
Scott Parker. But you're
saying... And how's it worked out for him in the Premier League previously?
I'm not saying they're going to stay up, but you're saying that teams should be a little bit more pragmatic. Listen to the point.
I know. Be a bit more pragmatic. But who's the manager?
Yeah, but you're saying...
And how's he done when he managed 2 other Premier League clubs?
I know, but I'm just saying...
Fulham, relegated. Bournemouth,
You're
sacked.
asking teams to be a little bit more pragmatic. Yeah. Potentially, they're going to be that way. I'm not saying they're going to stay up. I'm not saying that at all. But that's why it'll be interesting to see how they do.
Club Brugge, sacked.
That's the point.
Calvin Klein,
listen to the point. Anyway, that's me done for all of what I wanted to say on those 3. Besides actually talking of sides that potentially could come up, nice to see Leeds doing what they do every season and just...
bothering it a little bit.
Yeah.
They pulled it back to 2-2 yesterday, didn't they? After going 2-0 down away at QPR.
But they beat Sunderland at home and then they beat Sheffield United away and you thought, right, that's it, they're in a great position. And then since then they've lost to Portsmouth. They obviously drew against QPR. I think there was one more draw in there, but I can't remember who against. Yeah.
Leeds.
They've allowed Sheffield United and Burnley to catch up.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
And Coventry are now in the playoff places, having beaten Sunderland 3-0 yesterday.
I know, they're in red hot form. They lost to Derby midweek, but it's 9 wins out of the last 11.
Yeah.
So doing really well. Any other talking points that you want to cover?
Michael Oliver once gave a penalty to...
was that a penalty?
A penalty.
A penalty.
A penalty. I've been up since 3:30. Zip it.
Penalty. Hey, you take the mick out of my pronunciation.
Yeah.
Penalty.
Michael Oliver once gave a penalty to Anthony Knockaert.
Well, then that leaves the only things for me left to say. Table of results, match week 28. I got 9, you got 5, James got 8. Overall, I'm on 182, you're on 161, and James is on 171.
I can't catch a break with some of my scores. I really can't.
You're not playing.
Yeah.
World's smallest violin.
Well, it's between me and James now for the 2-0 head start, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're still doing, obviously, the 2-0 head start.
Oh, we said we would.
Yeah.
But he backs himself, so he might not want to, because he's like, no, I'll beat you from 0-0.
If he really backed himself, he should just give you a 2-0 head start anyway and then go from there.
If he backs himself that much, he'll give me a 19-0 head start.
And on that note,
Does he know about the Ronaldo haircuts prior?
if he's been listening, then he should do. But
Because he hasn't said anything in the group.
No. He mentions, obviously, my prediction for Arsenal PSV, though, the other day. And that came from the same podcast, so I'm not sure.
Maybe he's ignored it. I think that would be quite... Well, no, not quite. I think that would be hilarious if we both have the R9 haircut. One in the yellow, one in the blue Brazil kit.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Doing ends, and the loser has to be a
mascot.
the mascot. Maybe the loser has to be a mascot with an R9 haircut.
Why not?
Who knows?
Get a different hairstyle of this, or go full...
So that's what my third forfeit's going to be. Next season, I'm not going to enter the table predictions. I'm just going to come on the podcast, and it can be between Ben and James next year. I'm fed up with all these. The Fulham game, 98th minute penalty. And all right, it was a penalty, but geez, like...
I think Fulham have cost you about 9 to 15 points this season. I remember the game against Chelsea, which we both had 1-1, and then they scored right at the end to win 2-1. I think it was on Boxing Day. There was another one recently as well. Fulham giveth and Fulham taketh away. I told you, that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not going to support Fulham anymore.
That was quick. And on that note, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to everyone who's watching or listening, wherever you get your podcasts from. As per usual, get involved, comment, like, subscribe, share, all the usual stuff. And yeah, you shall see us and hear us on the next one.